Today in 5-Minute Math, we're going to talk about solving equations and the general steps that you would go through in order to solve an equation. The first one is you always want to, whenever you're solving for a particular variable or you're isolating a variable, you always want to first get rid of any kind of parentheses or squares or square roots and so on, in which your items are contained in. So if you have things that have squares, square roots, and that kind of stuff, you want to do some very kind of tricky, fancy math. And it's not super easy to do, but I'm sure you'd be able to figure out at least some steps into getting into it. The next thing you want to do is you want to combine any kind of like terms that are on the same side of the equation, of course. And remember, like terms are the same variables of the same degree, so x to the power of 1 and 3x to the power of 1, you can combine those. But x squared and 2x, you can't combine those because they're different degrees, an x squared and I have an x to the power of 1. Do any kind of adding or subtracting. And then finally, some kind of any kind of multiplying or dividing. Basically, you're reversing the steps of PEMDAS, if you remember the order of operations. So we'll start with an easy example. 3x plus 7 equals to 10. I'm going to draw two lines to separate my left and the right side so I don't get confused. My first step is parentheses, none of them. Combining like terms, there aren't any to combine. Adding or subtracting, good. I want to solve for x here. I want to solve for x. So I want to get rid of this 3 and I want to get rid of this 7. So I'm going to start by getting rid of this 7. Subtract. I want to subtract the number that's not by the x. Minus 7 on both sides. That gives me a new equation, 3x equals 2, 10 minus 7 is 3. Now, if I want to keep the 3, I'm solving, keep the x, I'm solving for x, I want to get rid of that 3. How to get rid of that 3? Well, in this case, I'm going to need to divide by 3. Divide. And that gives me the answer, x equals to 1. And you can always check your answer, x equals to 1, by putting 1 back into 3x. 3x plus 7 equals to 10. You can always change the x into 1. 3 times 1 plus 7 equals to 10. That's 3 plus 7 equals to 10. That gives you 10 equals to 10. And so I know that is correct. Now, for a little more complicated problem, let's say I had x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals to 12. Well, in order to solve for x, this time I'm going to need to do some kind of factoring. So let's factor this thing. Gives me 12. So xx 2 plus plus. Huzzah! I could actually factor it into a perfect square. That gives me x plus 2 all squared equals to 12. In order to solve for x by itself, I'm going to need to get rid of this square, and I need to get rid of this 2. So that's my first step here, get rid of parentheses if I can. So I'm going to take a square root here. So that gives me x plus 2 equals to the square root of 12, plus or minus. Now, finally, I want to keep the x by itself, so how do I get rid of a plus 2? By subtracting 2, minus 2, minus 2 on both sides. So my final answer is going to be x equals to minus 2 plus or minus the square root of 12. There are infinitely more very, very complicated problems that you can do. There are some tricks that you may need when you're dealing with quadratics, and with quadratics in general. You might want to do something called complete the square, which I will talk about in another video. you also want to do something that we did today in this one, which I will also talk about in another video, called factoring. And this is factoring works, by the way, not just with quadratics, it works with cubics as well, and some of the higher order ones. As always, please rate, comment, leave a note. This is 5 Minute Math.